Last Tuesday, les producteurs de lait du Quebec, or in other words, in English, the milk producers of Quebec, Chairman Daniel Gobil announced new pricing structures that will be standardized over the next year. This will provide solutions for issues they've had with Canadian milk pricing over the past 2 decades. It involves a formula and issues that revolve around volume, butterfat content, protein content, and consumer trends and surpluses. This was probably triggered by the Canadian-US-Mexico agreement trade policies, which changed a few things about how the milk processors could export. Last Thursday, the United States Department of State announced concerns over the Daniel Ortega's government in Nicaragua's policies leading up to Nicaragua's national elections. Apparently, last Tuesday, the Nicaraguan National Assembly passed legislation directly contradicting what the Organization of American States had recommended. This legislation refuses to provide for transparent election reporting, excludes certain candidates from running, and allows the national police to prohibit certain opponents from having meetings and rallies, along with placing Daniel Ortega administration loyalists in electoral oversight judge positions. Last Tuesday, Oxford University announced studies of pea plants had revealed that these pea plants, and yes, we're talking about little green peas, make investment decisions. Okay, so the peas are legumes. And legumes are valuable because they pull nitrogen out of the air and put it into the root system of the plant. This is done with Rhizobia bacteria that converts the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogen in the plant and ultimately into the soil. And apparently they discovered that peas, when dealing with the symbiotic bacteria, make decisions about which strains to provide sugar to. And this is very important because it could reduce the use of nitrate fertilizers, which could reduce runoff. Last Wednesday, Volkswagen announced 74 million euros in upgrades to its Zwickau press shop. Which will reduce truck trips by 9,000 a year to and from the plant to the local auto plant. And this will save 5,800 tons of carbon dioxide a year. This plant supports the production of electric cars. It's a huge investment. The press that they're dealing with, it's 300 feet long. It's 22 feet by 40 foot on, it's 300 by 22 by 40 feet. It's huge. The warehouse itself investment took up 23 million euros. In Zwickau, they use 1,700 robots to manage the parts produced by this press. They have produced 20 million parts a year, and they're going up to 30 million parts a year. The pandemic has changed the way we eat. It has put stress on food production, and at the same time, we've seen changes in technology. Well, last Monday, Commonwealth Bank of Australia announced that we are seeing a 7-year high of agricultural financing in agricultural equipment. In March was the third largest month for agricultural machinery purchases for 7 years. And it was even higher than the year before. Now, one thing Australia is seeing, the report mentioned, was a La Nina effect, weather effect, which provided rain to a lot of grazing areas. Now, we've heard a lot about the fires in Australia, but evidently some areas got a good chunk of rain. And this helps the beef industry. In fact, this is why I'm mentioning an article last Thursday, also by Commonwealth Bank of Australia, that was written by Dana Goldsmith. It discussed the optimism in the cattle sector that was reflected in a higher demand for land, leading to higher prices. The article by Ms. Goldsmith also pointed out upgrades to equipment have reduced the carbon footprint and increased investments in that equipment. Last Wednesday, Bosch Powertrain announced a collaboration with Shell and Volkswagen to produce renewable gasoline with 20% lower CO2 emissions. This is called blue gasoline. It's sustainable gasoline. It's very exciting because I actually worked with this during some of my geopolitical simulations in high school, in which you use renewable resources to produce things like gasoline and natural gas. This is useful for a couple of reasons. It has a high storage stability. So all you critics of The Walking Dead who criticize the fact that they find gasoline that's been buried for 10 years and they can still use it, this is the kind of gasoline they're using. Seriously though, hybrid vehicles keep the fuel in their tanks longer, so it's got to store longer. So this is a Walking Dead gasoline. Another interesting thing is, to make this gasoline, the naphtha that they use comes from what they call tall oil, which is a byproduct of paper pulp. And this is very exciting. While the efforts being made to reduce carbon dioxide are valuable, materials science will possibly do the job for us.